It's Friday, September 2. In the headlines, more teachers resign, but Education Ministry says they are ready for new school term. In business, JSE welcomes 100th company to list. Regionally, Afro-Caribbean Conference happening in Barbados. And in sports, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce optimistic ahead of race. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Simone Absalom Gale. Minister of Education and Youth Favour Williams says safety and security will be a focal point as schools open their gates for the new school year next week. Reflecting on the high incidence of violent behavior from students back in March, Minister Williams says all security initiatives that were put in place will continue.
Metal detectors will continue to be there, and 6 schools are getting CCTV at a total cost of about $15 million. All of our high schools have metal detectors. Those will continue in place. Random searches for items that may cause harm to others will go on as well.
She says there are 129 deans of discipline on the ministry's roster, and they have increased the number of guidance counselors by 99.
We continue to implore our principals, our teachers, and administrators to heighten their awareness and increase their vigilance. We will continue to have a team of psychologists and agencies that provide guidance for students, those who may be coming back into the face-to-face environment and will need some increased socialization, some increased behavioral management. We will continue to have the team of psychologists. Of course, you know that there are different levels. Or teachers in the classroom, they would be the first to notice a change in behavior. They can activate the guidance counselors at the schools, and if the guidance counselors feel that there is need for more beyond what they can do, then we have this system in place to help our guidance counselors.
The Education Minister says her team will continue to disburse the annual grants to schools across the island to offset administrative functions.
The first tranche of the grant has been dispersed. The second tranche is to be disbursed in this September month. And of course, we will continue to support our schools in terms of the year-round maintenance efforts that we have. That is well above what the grants that we send for maintenance could cover.
Meanwhile, Minister Williams also gave an update on the current resignations reaching her ministry.
On the matter of teacher resignation for the period since July to present, we have 248 resignations. But I want to add, to that is that many of those resignations would have already been filled. Many of those vacancies would have already been filled.
She outlined some of the regions that already filled vacancies.
Region 2, which would be St. Thomas, Portland, and St. Mary, they have reported that 80% of the schools reported that they have replaced teachers who have resigned. And 2 examples coming out of Region 2, Brownbrook Primary and Port Antonio Primary, 2 very large primary schools. They have fully replaced their teachers who have resigned. One corporate area school, I'm sure you might have read about it because it was headlined in some of the publications that school lost 16 teachers. If reading in the fine prints, that principal would have said that she had replaced all except one of those teachers. So yes, the schools are finding qualified teachers out there to replace those who have resigned.
The first set of vaccines to treat the monkeypox disease is expected to arrive this month. So says Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton. This comes as the island has recorded its 5th case of the disease just before the beginning of the 2022-2023 school year. Speaking at the open house and exhibition ceremony for the rehabilitation of public health facilities in St. Catherine, held at the Church of Open Bible in Twickenham Park this week, Dr. Tufton called on parents to be vigilant. He says the same health and safety protocols that were in place to manage the spread of COVID-19 virus within schools will also be maintained throughout the new school year. These include abiding by social distancing protocols, wearing masks, frequent hand washing, and designated areas for sanitization on school grounds, among others. Several residents of the Chiswick community in St. Thomas are set to receive 6 social housing units. That's the word from Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Desmond McKenzie.
For persons who meet the criteria, the Poor Relief Department of the St. Thomas Municipal Corporation has commenced the investigations to identify the 6 persons where we will build these houses for the benefit of persons who are in need of it.
Minister McKenzie says a survey shows that the community is in need of a basic school and a recreational space.
The number one outside of roads and water that the community need is a social space. There is no community recreation in Chiswick. There is not one basic school, and the survey have shown that the residents feel that to take their kids 2 miles, 2.5 miles, even 3 miles to get to a basic school is being a little bit difficult. So what we are committed to do is that unfinished community center behind us that you can barely see through the bushes. We will, after we have concluded all the other arrangements, we will erect a basic school and a community center, and we will restore this playing field.
The minister was speaking following a tour of the community this week with various stakeholders. In his remarks, Mayor of Morant Bay, Councillor Michael Hugh, expressed gratitude for the selection of the community for the series of developments.
What this demonstrates is that Minister Mackenzie's heart is in the right place. For a community of Chiswick, out of all the communities in St. Thomas, they must feel a sense of pride today to be chosen as one of the pilot projects. What this demonstrates is the government commitment to rural development, and this will enhance a community of Chiswick, a community that would not have been highlighted in the media for any particular reason. But this demonstrates that even at deep rural, you can be recognized and feel a sense of pride and commitment that the government cares and you are not forgotten.
The planned developments are being done under the government's Rural Development Program. The program was introduced last year and is to give new life to rural communities. The Chiswick community, with over 900 residents, is the second of 6 communities identified for the program. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made his departure from Trinidad and Tobago just after 6 a.m. on Thursday. Ayana Carter from TTT Live has the details.
Prime Minister Holness was greeted at the tarmac of the Southern Terminal at the Piarco International Airport by Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Dr. Amory Brown, Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines, and Minister of Planning and Development Camille Robinson-Regis. This marked the end of the 4-day official visit of the Jamaican Prime Minister to TNT's shores as the nation celebrated 60 years of independence on Wednesday. PM Holness arrived on Sunday, August 28th, and was a special guest at several Independence Day celebrations, including the opening of the Dr. Eric Williams Memorial Library, the National Independence Day Gala Concert, the military parade at the Queen's Park Savannah, and the Toast to the Nation, hosted by President Paula May Weeks at the National Academy of Performing Arts. Both Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and Prime Minister Holness also engaged in conversations on matters including capacity building through the exchange of expertise and experience in the areas of trade and investment, education, security and air services. Both leaders expressed their interest in continued talks for the benefit of the citizens of Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago.
In the business report, the Jamaica Stock Exchange welcomed its 100th company to list. We have more on this, plus other updates from Danita Rodney.
On Thursday, September 1, One-on-One Educational Services Limited became the 100th company to list on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. CEO of One-on-One, Ricardo Allen, speaking at the listing ceremony, speaks of his appreciation for September mornings and the journey the company took to get to where it is now.
And I took the decision to stay. I took the decision to enlist a 5 group of directors: Mikey Bernard, Tyrone Wilson, Ian Forbes, Danny Williams, John Bailey, the Cecil Boswell Foundation. We got them on board. And we got them on board to give us initial funding to pursue a dream of transforming education and training, not just in Jamaica, but globally. And we took that money 2 years after. We raised additional funding. And I can tell you the September mornings after I gave up that scholarship was less than comfortable. Every day I stared down the barrel almost of a gun, thinking that this decision I would have made would have backfired. And that fear drove me to build a team and a company to work every day to ensure that that decision was a right decision. And while we have raised funding over the years to bring us to a point that we are now, I can tell you that this September morning is truly special. Because it is this September morning that we're listing on the exchange with a team of 70 people. Over 250,000 learners across the Caribbean, having started with 2. And we have raised over 300 million Jamaican dollars on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. That is truly remarkable.
For your market updates in foreign exchange trading for Thursday, September 1, the US dollar sold for an average of $151.79. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $117.10. The pound sterling traded for $175.54, and the euro sold for an average of $153.14. The following reflects the movement of the JSE indices in Thursday's trading session. The JSE index advanced by 1,464 points to close at over 300,000 units. The junior market index declined by 23 points to close at over 4,000 units. The combined market index advanced by 1,153 points to close at over 300,000 units. And the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by 561 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 112 stocks, of which 40 advanced, 54 declined, and 18 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Variable Preference, and 1834 Investments Limited. Stocks declined for Access Financial Services Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Trading firm were CAC 2000 9.5% cumulative redeemable preference shares, Epley 7.50 preference shares due 2024, and Epley Limited 7.75% preference shares. The overall volume leaders were QWI Investments Limited with over 12 million units, MFS Capital Partners Limited, and Jamaica Boilers Group with over 5 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Lico Investment Fund was the only active security posting a volume of over 11,000 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Government of Barbados Bond Series B was the volume leader with over 30,000 shares. They were followed by Goddard Enterprises Limited with over 1,000 shares and First Caribbean International Bank, which traded 600 shares. In regional business, the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, ECLAC, is projecting that the St. Lucia's economy will realize the highest GDP growth among the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, ECCU, member states in 2022.
In spite of a myriad of external pressures, St. Lucia's economy is on the rebound and even shows tangible signs of a positive growth trajectory. The Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, ECLAC, according to its annual report, has projected St. Lucia's GDP will grow by 8% in 2022. ECLAC's Economic Survey of Latin America and the Caribbean 2022 registers St. Lucia as the best performing economy among Barbados and member states of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, evidence of the peer administration's prudential fiscal policies and overall management of the local economy since assuming office in 2021.
In market data for oil prices climbed on expectations that OPEC will discuss output cuts at a meeting on September 5, though concern over China's COVID-19 curbs and weakness in the global economy continued to limit gains. Brent crude futures rose $1.42 to $93.78 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude futures advanced $1.43 to $88.04. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, in Grenada, Cabinet has overturned the prohibition for students interested in pursuing law and medical degrees at the University of the West Indies to access economic cost assistance.
We've had several students feeling deprived and denied of that opportunity simply because of the program of choice. And the reality is, though, that because of the arrangement that participating member states have with the University of the West Indies, there is a fee that we pay anyway to the university, and so there's no real reason to deprive our citizens from enjoying economic cost when there is, if I'm not mistaken, it's a $3 million fee that's paid, I probably can't be corrected, to the University of the West Indies annually because we're supporting territories to the university. So all of our students should, in fact, as many as possible, be encouraged to benefit from that because it's part of the agreement.
The link between the Caribbean and Africa is expected to be significantly strengthened through a historic event being held in Barbados. It's the first Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Conference, which officially got underway on Thursday morning. It has brought together government officials and business people from both regions for the purpose of boosting trade and investment for their shared benefit.
The inaugural Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum has opened with a call for Africa and the Caribbean to seize the moment as they seek to chart a new path together. One of the recurring topics is the need to build direct air links between the region and Africa.
It can only be a mindset that stops a plane from traveling 2,000 kilometers less between Bridgetown and Dakar than between Bridgetown and London. 2 hours less, 2,000 kilometers less, but yet you have a 28-hour delay through New York. Going where no one has gone before is never easy. And that's the first thing we must tell ourselves. It's not easy. But you can't have Burna Boy bring out 20,000 people in Barbados, command what he commands in Nigeria and Africa. Our own dear, the right excellent Rihanna, the same. And not believe that we can't open up the appetite of our people to travel to each other's countries.
Prime Minister Mia Amour-Motley says Africa and the Caribbean have the collective brain power, creativity, discipline, resilience, and the capital to make the defining difference. Included in her vision going forward is the establishment of banking relations between the region and the African continent. She says Trinidad and Tobago has led the way, making a name for itself with Republic Bank Ghana.
Less than a month into his term, St. Kitts and Nevis' newly sworn-in Prime Minister Terence Drew is criticizing the previous leadership, speaking on what has been discovered since his time in office.
And so we have found in there, Junie, a lot of unsavory things that you wonder if this was a government or this was a family business running like a mafia. I mean, when you look at what is found in there, I understand that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis recognized what was happening and they rejected it. So I'm very proud of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. We couldn't continue another 5 years like this. Believe me, it's bad how it was structured. But we are committed as a team to cleaning up the government and once again to make the government to function for the people. There are things that we are able to do and will do to make sure that we do it. I know people are out there asking for quick action to move this person here, move this person. I will address that. But as I told you, we are not here to rush in and disrespect anybody and treat anybody with dishonor. We will do it prudently, but we'll do it wisely as well, because we will protect the country.
In international news, the International Monetary Fund has reached an agreement with Sri Lanka to provide approximately $2.9 billion in emergency financing as the country faces its worst economic crisis since independence.
It was an announcement most people in Sri Lanka had been waiting for.
IMF staff and the authorities have reached staff-level agreement to support Sri Lanka's economic policies with a 48-month arrangement under the so-called extended fund facility of about $2.9 billion.
Sri Lanka asked for IMF help in March after its economy faced collapse and it ran out of money for food, medicine, cooking gas and fuel. Tens of thousands of Sri Lankans were forced to queue for essentials. The crisis led to months of protest that forced former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa to resign and his brother President Gotabaya to flee the country. News of an agreement on a bailout has brought a sense of relief to many here in Sri Lanka, but some observers say it may be premature to celebrate.
We stand ready to put this agreement to our management and then to our, if management approves it, to then put it forward to the executive board as soon as these conditions that I mentioned are satisfied. So we do need to await now for these conditions to take place.
The main condition is for Sri Lanka to come up with a workable plan to pay back the money it owes. The IMF has also asked for increased taxes, an end to subsidized electricity and fuel, and stringent efforts to stamp out corruption. The government has already begun implementing some of those reforms through an interim budget.
Tax management must play an important role in increasing revenue, including increasing tax collection, tax compliance, and preventing tax evasion. I propose making it mandatory for everyone over 18 years to register with the Inland Revenue Department, irrespective of their annual income and tax holidays.
$2.9 billion from the IMF will make a huge difference to Sri Lanka. But in order to secure those funds, it must come up with a proper plan of how it will pay its mountainous debts. For the people of Sri Lanka, that can't come fast enough.
In sports, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, who pulled out of the 100-meter race in Lausanne due to hamstring injury, says she is cautiously optimistic about her progress. She will compete in the Memorial Van Damme Meet, the penultimate Diamond League series of the season, this afternoon in Brussels, Belgium. Shelly-Ann shared her thoughts at the pre-race press conference.
I went to Bellinzona. I was in Bellinzona and I got some treatment for a couple of days, and I think the last 2 days have been very optimistic. I was able to sprint, and today I'm looking forward to going back to practice and see how everything is. But I think it should work out well. It's not 100%, but again, I'm optimistic.
Fraser-Pryce will line up in the women's 100 meters at 1:45 p.m. Jamaica time, alongside world 200 meters champion Sharika Jackson and American Sha'Carri Richardson. Shelly-Ann said she had considered ending her season after the Lausanne withdrawal, but it was important that she did not waste the work which has contributed to her form this season.
So I got the days off and I actually got some sprint work in yesterday and the day before, and it wasn't bad. So again, this is why I'm here at this meet, just to kind of see where I'm at. And if all works well and it works out, then I may still choose to do another race, because mentally I think I'm at this place where I've done the background work and I feel so good, you know, leading into Lausanne. I felt really good and I didn't want to waste that, you know what I mean? But I still wanted not to risk anything about next year. You know, next year is always there. And one thing my coach told me is there's something that you did this year, chances are you can replicate that next year.
Fraser Price will be one of 6 Jamaicans who will compete in the meet. World Championships silver medalist Brittany Anderson and Tokyo Olympics bronze medalist Megan Tapper will line up in the women's 100 meters hurdles, while Stephanie Ann McPherson and Candice McLeod will compete in the women's 400 meters at 1:54 p.m. When asked how long she will continue to run, Shelly Ann responded,
I get that question so often these days. Again, the dream is definitely to go to Paris 24, but at the same time, I have to trust my body and just listen to my body as well, to make sure that each year I assess myself to see where I'm at and how I'm feeling. And at this time, I'm still very passionate about what I'm doing, and I'm still hungry, and I still think there's more to give. So as long as those things are working for me and that's the state of mind that I'm in, then it's not yet. So I can't give you a definite time, but it's not yet.
Barbados Royals have won their opening CPL 2020 fixture, beating hosts St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots at Warner Park Thursday night. In a match reduced to 17 overs per side due to rain, the Patriots batted first and posted 149 for 8, led by Andre Fletcher's 81 that was powered by 11 fours and a 6. Jason Holder took 2 for 21 and Roman Simmons 2 for 28. Player of the match Corbin Bosch set a new CPL record with 5 catches in the outfield in that innings. Royals replied with 150 for 3 off 15.1 overs to win by 7 wickets. Kyle Mayers led the victory charge with 73 inclusive of 6 fours and 4 sixes, while Raheem Cornwall chipped in with 39 that had 3 fours and 3 sixes. Dwayne Bravo took 2 for 33. Trinbago Knight Riders won their fixture in the CPL earlier on Thursday, taking care of St. Lucia Kings. The Kings batted first after being sent into bat and made 143 for 9 off their 20 overs. Russian Primus took top score with 38. That included 3 fours and 2 sixes, while player of the match Akil Hussein took 4 for 13. TKR replied with 148 for 7 of 19.2 overs to win by 3 wickets. Tion Webster had the top score of 58. That included 6 fours and 3 sixes. Azari Joseph had 4 for 17. Today, Friday, September 2, is a rest day for the CPL, but action continues on Saturday for match 4 in the men. This will see Jamaica Tallowers going head-to-head with Guyana Amazon Warriors at 9 a.m. Jamaica time, and the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots versus the Trinbago Knight Riders at 6 p.m. Matches will play in St. Kitts. And that's the news on PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.